You either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. I'm Nico.
And I'm Chris.
And today it's officially 1 year since we started the podcast.
Happy podcast-versary.
Yeah, so with everything locked down and not wanting to do not anything new that we really wanted to talk about, we just figured we'd want to first off say thank everyone, or we'd want to say thank you for everyone who's listened to us for the past year. It's been an interesting time for us.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we talked about doing this for a while, and we figured, well, we're already doing reviews of movies. We might as well do an audio version of it to go along with it. And we kind of just assumed that, like, your parents would listen and call it good. So when more people tuned in, it was really kind of cool. And it's been really fun to see, not necessarily who, but we have a little map that lights up, which is really fun to watch to see who listens. And we definitely know that some of these people we don't know. So hi, new people. How exciting.
Hello. Yeah. And I mean, we really started this off because honestly, every time we're together, it's either to watch movies, even whenever we have group nights.
Yep.
Hanging out for the Nights with the lads, we watch movies.
Yep.
I mean, someone's birthday, we end up going to a movie or something. So, and for me, it was really nice because mostly when I would get off of work, I'd go home and I'd watch a movie. It was just, oh, what's next on Netflix? And now it's more confined or more narrowed and focused.
And also, it's been nice getting not just our interpretations of movies, because while we do have different favorite genres of movies, our likes of movies do overlap quite a lot. So it's been kind of, it's been really nice trying to find movies that are outside of our standard comfort zone.
Yes.
Which, there's a lot of new ones that I'm going to rewatch, which has been great.
And ones where we've had conversations where it's like, oh, this movie, and I'm like, I've never seen that. And then everyone just gives me these cold eyes and this million-mile stare of like, how dare you?
And same thing in the other direction. I love horror movies. I missed most of them.
And I take things to extreme sometimes.
Yeah, but at the same time, I take them in the other direction. You've seen horror movies I've never even heard of before, and I watch musicals you've never ever seen of.
But I know of them, at least.
I think most of them. Next year, maybe I'll pull out some of the odder ones.
Yeah, I'm down for that. So I mean, we just want to have this little short episode, just talk about some of our favorite movies and
remember the past.
Yes, very reminiscing.
Which honestly, when we were going through this, about maybe a quarter of the way through the year, I actually switched how I was taking notes and cataloging what we were doing. And so I was going back through the catalog I'm currently using, and I was like, oh, it feels like we did more than this. And then I opened my other notebook. There's a lot more in there than I thought.
Yeah, whereas I have the images of every single one we've done on my computer, so we've done quite a bit.
We did quite a lot more than I ever thought we would. Yeah. This has been fun.
No, it's been a great time, so I wanted to start this off with just talking about films that we've already talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's start off with a positive note.
Yes.
What's your favorite movie that we've talked about this year, Chris?
Well, my favorite movie of all time, as we know.
Sorry, before we get into it, by year we mean since we started the podcast, not calendar year.
Forget calendar years. Who needs them? No, and like I've put on repeat, my favorite movie of all time, hands down, and I will forever live and die by, is Princess Bride. However, a new favorite movie did emerge from this year. I love Godzilla. I've always loved Godzilla, but boy howdy do I love Godzilla a lot more this year that I've watched all the old ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen Godzilla before. Did you see the original beforehand, or?
I hadn't seen the actual original one, at least not all the way through. I think I'd definitely seen clips of it from different film studies, and then I'd seen bits of it from TV and stuff. but I hadn't seen most of the middle range Godzilla. The children approved Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
Which, that's my jam. That Godzilla and that Mothra. I love them.
Oh, God. Yeah, the Mothra was a weird one to go through.
Oh, so strange.
Yeah. No, I really like rewatching Godzilla with a different lens, especially reading more about it and knowing more of the backstory. Because I've liked Godzilla for a long time. It's one of the earliest movies or genre movies that I remember seeing.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's one specific scene with... I know it's not a Godzilla film. There's some centipede that bursts out of a subway system.
Ah, yes.
I don't know what it's from. It might be a made-up memory that I have from, like, when I was 4 or something, but some of my earliest memories are Godzilla-related.
Yeah.
So I've been a big fan of Godzilla for a long time, and it was nice getting a little more into the rabbit hole of it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been... Especially since, like, we're both fact-based people. It's something we both enjoy. One of my favorite TV shows is nothing but a bunch of British dudes sitting around telling me facts.
Yeah.
Watching it with more backstory, with more understanding of how it was made or who did what. I don't know, it made it a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, it made me, because recently I got around to rewatching I Live in Fear, which was Akira Kurosawa's response to nuclear fear. And just seeing them as a comparative topic is that Godzilla is much more poetic, I'd say. Not poetic, more...
No, I would say Godzilla has some poetry in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas...
Stompy poetry, but poetry.
Yes. But whereas I Live in Fear was more of just this... It was too realistic in its interpretation of just some dude's paranoia, but not in like a mind-bending way or anything. It was just a guy who was freaking out and basically ruining his family financially with his fear.
Yes, good times.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie, but if you compare it to how imaginative Godzilla was, that's where that movie shines, I'd say. For me, I am kind of torn between two, because I really love Akira.
I saw Akira on the list and I was like, I love Akira, but do I love Akira? Was my problem.
I do, because I love cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And that's a bit, like, futurism is a huge thing for me in movies.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I also love the super cheesy gore fests. So Hobo with a Shotgun
I knew it.
It's between those two. I'm leaning more towards Hobo just because it's less academic. And I have more fun with that.
You do. I can see that.
And it's on the tamer side of the extreme films.
It's a good shoot 'em up time.
Yes. So, from that, what is your least favorite film we've reviewed?
So, much like my grandparents and modern art, I don't like the Poughkeepsie tapes.
I figured I forgot. When I suggested that, I forgot how extreme it is for some people.
Yeah, and like, from an academic standpoint, I don't hate them. I get them, and I do think that from a movie standpoint, and also just from someone who does like true crime, but tends to lean very heavily into the cottage crime, where it's much sweeter and nicer, Agatha Christie based, it is nice to see the more extreme other side, the arguably more realistic side. Yeah. But much like modern art, not my jam. Probably not going to watch it again.
Nope. I don't blame you. I only picked it up because, and the only reason I watched it in the first place was I remember seeing it in a magazine when I was living in Italy.
Yeah.
And I just thought the cover looked interesting, and I'm like, okay, cool. I like serial killers. I think this stuff's interesting. And it's just like, okay, there we go. That, like...
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what episode to do next, and we both love true crime, but we didn't want to do Zodiac.
Yeah, no, at least not right off the bat. And honestly, I think all of us, to some extent, have that weird movie that we watched ourselves, and then feel the need to share. And sometimes the movie, it it hits with some people and it doesn't with others. A good example is I love The Triplets of Belleville. I accidentally watched it on TV once because it had won an Oscar or something. It had won an award. I don't remember if it was Academy or Oscars. And so I watched it because I had clearly missed this masterpiece. Loved it. Got my mom and best friend to watch it. They both absolutely hated it. My mom could not get past the first intro boob scene at all. It was not her cup of tea. It was way too artistic and weird.
I remember showing my family Hobo with the Shotgun.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned if I had watched that with my dad alone, he might have enjoyed it a little bit more, but I watched it with my mom and both of my brothers, and they're not into gore films.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a movie genre for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I found Triplets of Belleville interesting, but it was one of those ones where...
It's very French.
It's very French, and it's also very much kind of like when I watched The Spirit of the Beehive, where it would have been nice to know more about the history of everything. Yeah,
it's definitely, at least I think for a standard American audience, it's one that if you know who all the background caricatures are, it's more fun to watch.
Oh yeah. As for me, this will probably come as no shock. Wild Wild West.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Again, there's a genre for everyone. I like Wild Wild West. I get it. There's a reason why it's terrible. Yeah, no, it's something else. I'll say that. Yeah, you sound like my mom when she watched it with me too.
I mean,
it wasn't her cup of tea either.
It's that weird...
It's most people's not cup of tea.
No. But you love horrible movies.
I do love a horrible movie.
So, from that, what is your favorite short that we've done, or new movie that we reviewed for the podcast?
Honestly, it's less of a short and more of one of the spotlights we did. I have always known who Nicolas Cage is.
Yeah.
I had never dug into him as a person before.
Oh, yeah.
And... while I still think he's not my favorite actor,
no,
I do respect him more as an actor now that I know more about him. I also think now that I know more about him that he has tamed himself down in recent years, and I miss Wild Wild Cage.
No, he has not. Just wait until I make you guys watch Mandy.
Yes. You have raved about Mandy. Oh man,
as my friend Austin put it, if the movie was any more metal, it would have to have been dug from the earth. And no, he has not mellowed out. I will tell you that he
should.
No, and I'm in the same boat as you. Like I for the longest time said I hate Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I mean he's a lot.
Well, no, I had a bad experience with an ex-girlfriend because of him. She thought he was the most attractive thing in the world.
Yes, you've told me this story.
Yeah, it made me question the whole relationship.
I would too.
So there was that, and I only seen National Treasure and The Wicker Man.
Arguably not his best looking roles.
No, not at all. And especially now that I've started exploring some of his older stuff, he actually was kind of an attractive old man back then.
Yeah, I don't think the hairline's been good to him. But,
no, but some people, that's just their hairline.
Yeah, he's leaned into it.
But yeah, and for me, my buddy Rick said, do you really hate him, or is it just...
Is it just the old girlfriend?
Yes. And honestly, it was.
Yeah.
And that's really opened my mind to a lot of other movies and actors and stuff. And it's just like, well, you know what? Maybe I can shut out that one bad experience I had with that person or something.
Yeah. And I don't know. Also with our Nick Cage deep dive, it's made me want to learn more about actors. Mostly because, again, I have apparently no facial recognition software whatsoever. And we were playing a social distance game via the internet and Teams with my in-laws, and one of the questions was just name attractive actresses and actors, and I struggled greatly remembering who was in what and where.
Oh yeah,
opposed to what character they played.
Yeah, but weren't you complaining like it was all people from the 80s and before?
No. The answers to the game were terrible answers, but just the fact that I failed to remember who bothered to play some roles who I thought were genuinely good actors or actresses. I realized, yeah, I mean, will I remember their names? Probably not. Let's be realistic. But do I want to learn more about them and their career? Yeah, it definitely makes me more interested in them.
Good. For me, my favorite short that we did, not surprise here, Midsummer.
Yeah, I knew that one.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. And I can't wait till we decide to do a deep dive on that movie because, oh boy, is it going to be fun.
There's a lot in that movie. There is a lot.
There is. And since then, I've gotten, or a couple of my other friends that I've been playing Dead by Daylight with have watched it. And
awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. As for shorts, what is your least favorite?
You know, I can't really pinpoint one that was truly my least favorite. The shorts, other than having the incredible interest in Nick Cage now, while none of them I disliked, they were all kind of, I don't know, a good mid-wave range for interest peaking.
I'm not surprised because when we decide on shorts, it's hard getting you to decide on which one you actually want to go and see because I, on the other hand, hey, we're going to go see this movie in theaters. Cool.
Yeah. I have a hard time getting out of the house.
Yeah. I will tell you, my least favorite, no surprise here for you either, Doolittle.
Yeah, I saw that one coming. I liked Doolittle. Did I love it? No, it was terrible Doolittle. But it was better than the Eddie Murphy version. That's all I wanted.
I still have not seen the other ones.
Also, not your cup of tea. We'll watch it with Erica. It's Erica's cup of tea.
All right. Sounds good. So as for that, I know in our podcast we talk a lot about movies that we've seen or just reference movies similar to the one we're talking about. Outside of this podcast, because I know I go to movies a lot and you go to other ones that I'm not super interested in.
Yeah.
But out of that, or we watch a lot and in between as well. Outside of the podcast, what is your favorite movie that you've seen in the past year?
See, that's been kind of a hard one to answer because I realize that I've been rewatching some really old movies and TV shows. I think the favorite one, and I know I've rambled on about it before, I've been rewatching the really old Sherlock Holmes series. Not the Johnny Depp one, not the newer one, or not Johnny Depp. What's his name?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Doolittle.
Yeah, not Doolittle. The really old one. And I don't know. I've really been enjoying some 1950s TV. That's been really fun. Let's see. Did I misread this question when I prepared for this afternoon? Yes, I did. Oh, I remember. So I took Crystal to go see, and I know it didn't come out this year, but she hadn't seen it before. And so I rewatched Trolls 1 for the first time this year.
Okay.
I'd seen it one other time and had really liked it. But kind of like Lego, the movie. I had watched it once and then kind of like let it die while everyone else like raved about it while it was out. And now that all of the hype is over, and since she hadn't seen it, we went and rewatched it.
Yeah.
I love Trolls. I need to see the second one. I refuse to pay $20. It's just me going to watch it. Brian has already informed me that he will find any other room in our 2-room house to be in if I watch it. So I don't want to pay $20 for just me. So maybe once this whole quarantine thing's done, then I can get some friends together who also like Trolls 1 and we'll watch it.
See, here's what we'll do. You'll have a ladies' night and I'll have a lads' night.
Yes.
And we'll watch the other Trolls because I recently watched that one for the first time.
Yeah.
I think I watched it for my 31 days of Halloween.
That's a good one.
But I will make the guys watch notoriously horrible, I have yet to see, Trolls 2. Oh. That has nothing to do with Trolls.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah. So, for me, I also had a hard time with this one just because, and this is the first, like, I'm going to reference the Oscars because honestly, I haven't watched the Oscars in years, and this was the first time I watched it this year because I had seen almost every movie that was up there.
Yeah.
And for me, I had a really hard time deciding because, one, I loved The Lighthouse. I loved JoJo's Rabbit.
Yeah.
I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, not as much as the other two. But there was Parasite.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like, Parasite for me is... I can't wait for it to come out on the Criterion Collection because, let's be real, that's when I'm going to buy it.
Yep.
But I can't wait to go back and rewatch it just because I've learned more about it. There was a podcast I listened to. I think it was Award Wieners. They were talking about one of the aspects of the toilets, and just like there's little things that I didn't know about. I haven't done any digging into like Korean culture, or Korean construction either, just because architecturally we do different things different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And so, for me, I really want to go back into Parasite and rewatch that just because I loved it so much. As for movies that I just got around to watching, I watched this awesome French film. I'm so glad I finally got my hands on it. Martyrs.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get around to that one.
I own it now.
Nice.
It is fantastic. I was not expecting where it was going to go because like 45 minutes into the movie, I'm like, I thought this movie was much longer. Like, where is it going to go from here? There's not really a whole lot right now. Yeah. And I got like 45 minutes. There's this twist, and I don't want to go into it just because it's great. There's like, it's almost two movies in one at one point. So
nice.
And even the ending's just like, holy shit, that was great.
Oh, there is one movie that came out this year that I did watch, and I understand that this is going to be controversial. Mm-hmm. I liked Cats.
I have not seen it yet.
You'd hate it.
I'm sure I would.
Yeah, but I have to preface this with something. Mm-hmm. I have always loved Cats. I have seen the live performance multiple times, probably in the tens of times. Yeah. It was something my grandmother and I, every time it was in town, we would go see. I have seen the Broadway cast, not on Broadway, perform it. Did I think this was the best Cats performance of all time? No, of course not. Did I think that it was everything my little imagination could have wanted for a movie version of Cats? The terrible stage production? Yeah. But again, I understand why no one liked it. Again, I like things that don't do well.
I know you do.
And
I know.
Cats is one of them. Yes, I forgot Cats came out this year. I did watch it. I did like it. If you like Cats, you might like it. If you like normal things, you will hate it.
I will watch it.
We will.
If they re-release it with the butthole edition, because apparently they had buttholes and then they removed them.
I mean, cats have buttholes. You get to look at your cat's butthole pretty much all the time.
One of them. I am so glad Charlie's so fluffy.
He is a poofy boy.
Don't get to see his butthole.
That is the benefit of a poofy cat.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it would have been weird, it'd been more weird with butts. Butt.
I want it, though. I mean, I'll get around to it at some point.
At some point, we'll preference it by finding a decent film version of the stage production. Yeah. And then we'll roll into it, because it's not meant to be a movie. Yeah. It wasn't really meant to be a stage production, either. It should have stayed a classical bitch of poetry.
I know nothing about it.
That's okay. Most people do.
So, outside of that, I know I have a hard time breaking down movies into, like, my favorites, because I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, and I have a hard time picking favorites.
Oh, yeah. Same here. So, Christine, what are your top 3 movies of all time?
I struggled so much with this one. So, my favorite movie, as we have already discussed, is Princess Bride. But I don't usually count that, because it should be a given. It's not number 1, it's number 0. Okay. So, I was standing in front of my bookshelf of you collect movies. I collect books. But I have movies.
Yeah.
But I only have movies of the movies that I have seen to the point that I destroyed the VHS tape.
Yes.
With the exception of one. Because I haven't even bothered to check to see if I can get a decent DVD copy of it. And that is 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Okay.
Which is a horrible moral musical about 7 brothers who go into town and kidnap 7 daughters so that they can marry them.
As one does.
As one does. I love this movie. It has always been one of my favorites. I have watched it since I was little. I loved it so much that my grandparents' only copy of VHS tape they gave to me one day, and they were just like, take it. Get rid of it.
We're tired of you borrowing it.
We're tired of you watching this movie. Same thing happened with the Outback version of the Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That monitor lizard.
That was the only children's VHS tape my great grandmother had, and it is now mine, and I watch it very regularly, more than I think Brian realizes. I watch it so much that it was to the point where it wasn't until I reached college that I realized there was another one. I thought there was just the Rescuers Outback. I didn't realize that there was an entire world of Rescuers for me to enjoy.
I don't think I knew it until I met you.
It's okay. I don't really know why, but yeah, it got swept under the rug.
Yeah.
And then, but my all-time movie that I will stop motion and just stand and stare at the TV is the second Harry Potter film.
As in Chamber of Secrets?
Chamber of Secrets.
Okay.
Yeah. I love the first one. I love all of them, let's be real. But I can usually function and do other things while watching one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot with Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I must stop and watch.
Just has a special place for you?
It is a special movie.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, because I saw the first 2 Harry Potter movies when I was still living in Europe.
That would have been magical.
Well, it was weird, too, because the first one we watched... So, I didn't realize that there was really a difference in the American and the British Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Because when I watched it, it was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
And I also watched it in English with German subtitles.
Nice.
So, because we would go to a movie theater in Luxembourg for a movie we really, really wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had showings in English, French, German, I think also Italian. And then on top of that, if they didn't have it in the language, they might have it in a different language with subtitles.
Nice.
So that's how they did a lot of this stuff around there. Because Luxembourg's this tiny little country between a bunch of different ones. But yeah, so it has a different feeling for me when I rewatch them.
Yeah.
Because I also got to see platform 9 3/4 or 9 and 10 before they put in like the 9 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is my favorite. The whole Harry Potter world, but if I had to pick one movie, which I feel is fair, yeah, the second one.
The second one.
The second one.
Second one is definitely a solid movie, I'd say.
Yeah.
As for me, I didn't have a hard time with my first 2 picks.
Yeah.
Because these movies, they've stuck with me for years.
Mm-hmm.
They are some of my favorite movies, and and they've actually influenced like my taste in film. And I'll rewatch them. I say at least once a year.
Yeah.
So I'll go back a little bit. My number 3 movie, I had a really hard time on this one. Just because I've seen these movies I've seen a lot of movies multiple times.
Sure.
But the ones that really stuck with me was either 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Or Yojimbo.
Yeah.
2 classic films.
Very good.
Completely different genres, but
yeah,
heavily influential to me because Yojimbo was actually the second Kurosawa film I'd seen.
Yep.
The first one I saw was Kagemusha.
Mm-hmm.
And just for me, Yojimbo was a completely different type of movie that I felt I'd never seen before. But then I started learning more about it and learned that it was kind of the prototype for that Western gunslinger.
Yeah.
The lone gunslinger walking into town. And
this town's not big enough for the both of us.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that he comes into town and it's not like this sounds not big enough for the both of us. He just fucks with the two rival gangs.
Yeah.
And
it's solid.
It's another movie I showed to my family, and my brothers and my dad made fun of it the whole time. Just because it's a 50s movie. The sword fighting's cheesy, but...
but the 50s. The whole 50s were cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, how you get
Stanley
wrong.
Kubrick. As much as I love his other movies, I love The Shining.
Yeah.
2001 is just...
It's good.
It's that level where he takes a movie and transcends it into something more than just a movie. And that's why it sticks with me more than The Shining.
And honestly, I think that's why the 2001 Space Odyssey stuck with a lot of people more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, The Shining, I think, is probably more cult recognized, but people, I don't know. I don't hear people just bring up The Shining like they do 2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh, yeah. Which I don't think your husband's seen yet.
The Shining or the Space Odyssey?
Odyssey.
I don't think he has. We'll get to it.
We will. Philip and I will get him there.
We'll get to it.
As for the second movie, my second favorite movie of all time, this movie I actually somewhat more credit giving me a love and fascination for horror films, and that is Alien.
Ooh, solid pick.
Specifically also like my really introduction into cosmic horror. Because Alien is one of the first horror movies I remember watching. Jurassic Park doesn't count because...
No, it wasn't meant to be
but I watched it too early.
Yeah, fair.
But Alien for me, again, I probably watched it a little bit too early. Just a little bit.
I feel like that's the sweet spot to watch the first Alien anyway.
Yes. And so, for me, I have a little bit of a backstory behind Alien because I watched it and we were living in Germany and we lived in the country. And so we had Rolladen, which, for people who don't know, there are these heavy metal shutters. Mm-hmm. So they block out all light.
Yep.
And so my mom was gonna make popcorn for us. It was Halloween. Mm-hmm. We picked out the VHS. This is back in the early 2000s when we would go to the base and rent VHSs. And so I picked up Alien because I thought the cover looked cool.
And in your credit, the cover is pretty damn good.
It's hella dope. And so she's like, okay, yeah, we'll watch it. My dad's out of town at this point, too. I think he was back stateside for some leadership training or something. Mm-hmm. And she's like, we'll watch Hocus Pocus. We'll settle down. We'll watch this together. Or we'll watch this after Hocus Pocus after I put your youngest brother down. Mm-hmm. And so we turn it on, turn off all the lights. She falls asleep, and my other brother falls asleep like 3 minutes into the movie.
So they didn't even get into, like, the start of the scary.
Yes, so I'm sitting there in the dark. I also credit this movie with starting my fear of the dark. Just in awe of this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it has that...
It really does.
Impact that just stuck with me.
Yeah.
And
it's a cathedral of movies, for sure.
It's still one of my favorite movies.
Definitely.
And then the other one, my number one movie... And people who know me, this isn't going to come as a surprise.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I watched this movie in college off of a friend's recommendation, I think. Or it might have been one of those lists of movies that are banned movies.
Yeah.
And oh boy, did I fall in love with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the first movies I've ever talked to you guys about, too.
Just say it so we can call the timer.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, there it is. There's a list of movies that, as a group, we all have where we call the timer to see how long it takes Nico to loop back around to. And this is top of the list.
Movie that I know I will never get you guys to watch.
Nope, probably not.
But it is, for me, I feel is one of the most influential films or especially specifically horror films.
Oh, yeah.
Which, there's I can go into a Cannibal Holocaust for a whole episode for this. I'm not going to.
We are aware.
Yes, I've talked about this film so much.
Multiple group nights has revolved around Nico telling us about this movie in the background.
Oh god, it's great. And I actually finally got one of my other friends to watch it. When we play Dead by Daylight, we've been doing, if three of us get out, we make one of us watch a movie. My buddy Sugi had only gotten through like the third half of the movie. And I'm like, no, man, you have to finish it. You're already halfway through. Just
if you hit the halfway point.
And he finished it. And now he loves it because of the ending of the movie. And that's the thing that makes it where all like the brutality and the animal deaths in the movie act like, cause they actually eat the animals. And that's that, like, if they just killed them on screen, I'm like, okay, what's the point of that? But they actually eat them in the movie. And so it's like, okay, that makes more sense. And I'm more okay with it.
Gotcha.
But it's the ending. It's the meaning behind everything. And I think that led me into watching movies like They Live or other things that made you start to question media and a lot of those kind of movies. But yeah, Cannibal Holocaust, not a movie for everyone. I'm well aware of that, but
fair.
Oh boy, it's also it's considered the first true found footage film, even though it doesn't resemble a found footage film by today's standards. Which,
I don't know, breath of fresh air, honestly.
Oh, it's fantastic, so.
Nice.
But, anywho, we've been ranting about some of our favorite movies for a bit longer than I think we were expecting, so.
Yep, true.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic year. I've really been enjoying this. It's helped keep my mind open to other movies, and.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking forward to another year of doing this with you, Chris.
Same. Same.
Anywho, this has been The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.